It's a boomer. Okay. What do you think? What did I do? Did I fuck something up? Mute, unmute. Oh god, I blew
Everyone
it.
hear Mark now? Is everyone
Oh
good?
wait, I hear you a little bit.
Everyone's
I can
good?
hear you.
Okay. All right. Sorry
Yeah,
about that.
we can.
Did
You were
any of that come
muted.
through?
Nah, you were muted.
God,
you're
what a
muted.
boomer queef I am, huh? What is this? Who am I, Wilford Brimley over here? Jesus, I stink. Done 8 million Zooms. I always fuck it up. But hey, good to be here. Thanks for coming out, fatties. We're gonna have a hot show. I'm gonna come clean. I'm hungover. I'm gay, and I took an edible last night, and I still jizzing through my veins. I'm trying to get rid of it. I hate being on edibles. They never end. It's like The Irishman. But we're pushing through, and I love Nashville. Although everything here makes you have to shit blood. You know, it's like, hey, have some hot chicken, have some bourbon, have some brisket, have a taco. And before you know it, I'm sitting on a towel with a miscarriage on my seat. But shows have been great. The crowds here are a little Bible belty. So I got some Holocaust jokes and some Jesus jokes, and they're not flying. Then I say the N-word, and they're high-fiving me. So, hey, different regions, different crowds. But oh, Mark, you forgot the T in there, Eric. And Mark Inrow.
Yeah, that's right.
Sounds like a DJ. Hey, you
Yeah.
gonna see Mark Inrow at Coachella? He's gay. What do you got? Sorry, I cut you off.
No worries. So we'll start off kind of just what we did last time. There's only one real AMA question. We'll then look at and talk about Woody observations. So for anyone that wasn't here or didn't watch the video, Mark kind of discussed. If you don't, we'll talk about it in a second, but we'll do Woody observations, and then we'll break down a bunch of people handed stuff in, and we'll talk about those Woody observations and make jokes out of them and take it from there. So again, this is going to be people could chime in, just write and raise your hand, whatever that thing was, and we'll go from there. So the first AMA question for you, Mark.
Yep.
How do you make clean bits without being hacky?
Well, I disagree with this whole idea here. I think clean bits aren't always hacky. I think clean bits are actually more challenging. I think they're hard to write. I just did Nate Bargatze's podcast, and he's clean, but he's so clean, you don't even think of him as clean. Like, he's so funny, he's so funny, you don't go, he's a clean comic. You just go, hey, Nate's a funny guy. So the only thing with clean or dirty, it's just got to be original. It's got to be a new take. It's got to be a new angle. And a lot of people make the mistake of they go, airplane humor? What is this guy, some kind of 80s hack? And you're like, well, the airplane humor can still be good. That, to me, that's hack. You just heard that was bad one day, and now you're just like, oh, yeah, we don't like that. But Louis had amazing airplane stuff. Bill Burr's got some airplane stuff. So as long as it's the punchline and the angle is original, I think you're fine.
Do you have any specific jokes that when you were starting them out, you thought were hacky yourself that then found their own voice?
Yeah, I got a million of those because, everybody's so scared of being hacky. So sometimes you'll write a thing where you're like, has this been done? I had a whole bit about people at the DMV being ugly. And somebody was like, hey, man, that's a hacky premise. And I was like, yeah, but I take it over this way. It's just, you ever seen The Simpsons? The Simpsons would always start an episode and Bart would be falling out of a tree. And then 2 minutes in, it would somehow get him free tickets. And now he's at Comic-Con. And that's when the show started. And I feel like that's kind of how a setup is. A setup can start over here, but it actually can lead you to a whole new bag of hammers. So, yeah, as long as the punchline and the angle that you're going is original. Like, I had a joke about being a janitor, and I was saying how I would mop and people would slip, and I had people like, janitor, I don't know, has that been done or whatever, mopping, but I was like, have you ever met a janitor comedian? And that bit killed. So. Yeah, I think you just keep it original and make it your own angle and your own punchline, and you're good.
Cool.
Clean has nothing to do with hacky. Hacky and clean that doesn't make sense. Anything can be hacky. Dirty can be way hackier than clean, probably. Sorry.
Yeah, that's perfect. So real quick, one more question before we get to the Woody observations. Kevin Willard.
Yeah,
Hey,
I have
Kev.
this quick question. What's up, Mark?
Hit me, fatty.
I heard you say a couple times on podcasts, as far as making it in comedy, you like slipped under the door last second, like Indiana Jones.
Yes.
Yeah. So I always wondered this about that. Like, if you had to start from scratch, so no one knew who you were, like, what do you think the biggest obstacle is now that didn't exist before? Like, is it just how things changed on the internet, or is it harder to get into clubs? And also, do you think that obstacle would have gotten in the way of some of the big opportunities like that you have had?
Oh, for sure. I think when I say I slid under the door like Indiana Jones, I mean as a straight white honky queef douche. I feel
Oh, right.
like there's still ways to get in. If I started now, I would have a whole different blueprint of how I was going to try to make it. I'd be on TikTok a ton. I'd be on social media all day long. I'd be tweeting. I'd be making videos and posting everything, which is all great, but you still got to have an act. So I would have I focused everything on my act, just writing every day, doing 6 sets a night, open mics. And I think if I started now, I would focus half of the time on my act and then other half on social media. I didn't even worry about social media when I started. So I would be filming everything. Everything would be content. So that'd be a different way in because the industry is kind of done now for a lot of people. Like unless you're, like a trans Asian in a wheelchair, they're like, hey, look at this. This is something. We got to check these boxes. I think you're kind of screwed, even as like a white lady now or a black guy. It's almost not enough anymore. So it used to just be about funny. But I think if you're looking for industry as a honky guy there, Kev, I think say fuck them, build up your socials, build up your numbers, and they'll eventually come to you. But this whole thing of getting discovered and having them see me and all that, that's over. So the
Okay.
game has changed, and the game will always change. I'm not trying to sound like an old Grandpa Norman, like a bitter guy, but it changes a lot faster than it used to now. Like it used to be like, oh, things are different. This is new. And now it changes like once every 2 months. You're like, oh, it's a new thing. What's that about? I got to get on Rogan. I got to start my own pod. I got to do a TikTok. So then TikTok goes away and then you got to start over. So it's always changing. You got to stay on top of it. But at the end of the day, be funny. That's really the common
Yeah.
denominator.
So you're saying hypothetically, like if you were starting now and you did just what you did before and focus 100% on your act, it's almost like impossible.
Yeah, a little bit, because even if you got a great act, you go, hey, can I do your show? And they go, who the fuck are you? What do you got on Instagram? Where you got any links? You got any videos I can see? And you go, oh, I don't. I've been writing this whole time. So
Yeah.
you kind of need both, where you need to have a little credibility, and then when they book you, you got to kill. So it's a tough road to pave for yourself, but it can be done.
Cool.
Okay.
We're gonna move on to the next two more questions, and then we'll head on to the observation aspect. So the next question, real quickly, is Michael Rath.
Hey,
All right,
how
Rack.
do you edit your setups so you're not doing like a 5-minute story for just like a little chuckle punchline?
Yeah, good question. Good question there, Mike. Everybody's got long setups. I go out to LA. I live in New York. It's hustle and bustle. Everybody's ADD and fast paced. I go to LA. These guys have a 20-minute setup for a mediocre punch about OJ. And I'm like, what are you, nuts? You could have had 28 punchlines. So there's 2 moves here, Rathy. Wrath of Khan. Feel my wrath. Sorry, I'm sure you've heard all these all day long and you probably hate me. But 2 things you can do. One, any setup can be shortened. I don't care who you are, but he goes, I don't know. I need those words. Every word counts. That one I like. I like the way I say it there. You got to fall out of love with it and see it objectively. If you want to bring a guy in to go, that word can go, that you can always shorten a setup. I even shorten words sometimes. Like I won't say street light. I'll just say light, just to get through it. They know what it is. And, you don't need to say computer chair. Just say your chair or desk chair. Now you've already cut off 2 syllables. Computer chair, desk chair. Boom. Now it's quicker. So you can always shorten the setup. And if you do need a long setup, you're going to have to make the setup kind of funny, at least, just to pull them along a little bit more. Because every time you're not being funny, I feel like it's like this gas gauge just going down to empty. And then when you get funny again, it goes back up, like when you have a punchline. That's kind of how I look at it. So if your setup's long, it better be at least humorous. And if you can get a little zinger in there also, great. But if it's too long and not funny, I think you're hurting your own jokes, you're hurting your own set, and it can be shortened. I know it doesn't seem like it, but it can be done.
Perfect. And last question is, do you use any tricks when you're feeling not funny? So to get into the mood of getting and being funny.
That's a great question. Great call. I'm a psycho. I'm mentally retarded. I've got all kinds of evil shit in my brain telling me I suck. I'm a hack, and that's just my dad. But all kinds of mean stuff. People are mean to me online. I'm like, you got nothing on this Norman Noggin here. So I've had all the beds, the yips, the heebie-jeebies, the willies, whatever it is. You're gonna bomb. I'll be walking on stage and my brain goes, you're gonna bomb, you fucking dickless whore, you suck. And I have to go, shut up. So a couple things. If you're just feeling nervous, you're feeling like a mental block, you're not feeling funny, say it on stage. Just go, all right, good to be. I'm not feeling funny today. I hope this goes well. And in a weird way, we're taught not to do that, but that will just lower everything because it's almost like you got ahead of it. You just brought it up and acknowledged it, and it somehow helps it for some reason. Some people don't want to do that because they want to seem cool and confident, but I think in a weird way, doing that actually makes you more confident, and people are like, wow, this guy's so relaxed up here. He's just telling us how he's feeling. That's pretty cool. That, and I got a weird one is for me is doing something physical. Sometimes my anxiety's through the roof. My brain's going a mile a minute. Just start doing push-ups or run around your block a few times. Get the sweat going, the heart pumping, and your body kind of it like, what is it called? Like evens itself out. Your heart's pumping, so you can't really be anxious because your body's like, oh, we got to focus on this now. The guy's doing burpees over here, so it kind of centers you a little bit.
Let's see if we lost him. Oh, there we go. Perfect. All right. You froze for a second. You froze, but we're good. I think we got the gist of that one. Cool.
So sorry. Did I freeze?
Just at the last 5 seconds, but everything else is great.
Unless I'm doing coke.
All right. So today's lesson is all about witty observations. So from last class, Mark, I don't know if you want to just overall redefine what witty observations are real quick.
Yeah. Look, we all love great jokes. We all love great one-liners and misdirects and puns and all that is fun. But I think if you're going to be doing an hour set, a headlining set, you got to be also interesting. Like your jokes can't just be, you thought I was going to say this, but I said that. And that's fine. But I don't think that works for an hour. Even a guy like Jeselnik will go off on a story or talk about himself. Have interesting ideas as well as funny turns on those ideas. So that's kind of what that was about. Have a good, interesting observation. You go, oh, how come men have man boobs, fat guys, and those are legal, but women's boobs aren't legal, and those are the ones we like. So that's not like a ha-ha, but it's kind of like, oh, yeah. And that's what I'm talking about.
Great. So with that, here's a little clip that I think sets that up in the first couple seconds that you're talking. Let me know. I think everything should be good from the sound, please.
Can't hear it.
Can't hear it. You blew it.
All right. Let me one more time.
God, nobody wants to hear this anyway, huh?
All right, one second. 1 second.
All right, one more time. Let's see if this works.
Here we go. I believe in you.
I've noticed a lot of people believe in God, yet nobody believes in magic. I find that interesting. Aren't they kind of similar? You believe in magic, people call you an idiot. You're like, well, what if the whole water in the wine thing? That was kind of like magic. And they always say, yeah, but shut up. I like magic. I have way more respect for magic than I do for religion. At least magicians back it up. Can you imagine if magicians did what priests did? Just like that. Yeah. It'd be so much less fun. Magicians are like, all right, now to pull a rabbit out of a hat. And you're like, I don't see a rabbit. You got to believe there's a rabbit. Sorry, man, I just don't see it. Well, you're going to hell. That's religion.
Yeah, so I just pulled that little clip just because I thought it does a good job of saying people believe in God, but not in magic. It's a little observation, a witty observation that could continue to be played upon. And I bet you had different. Did you at any point have any more aspects of that comparison that didn't make it in this bit?
I had a million of them. I had a million, like the Virgin Mary with sawing the woman in half. I tried a thing with that, and I tried a thing with like the Pope, something or other with the Pope, and like David Copperfield. That didn't work. I had all kinds of ideas. The body of Christ and something with that, and it all sucked. But you got to try and trial and error all those random ideas, because most of writing jokes is just having a ton of shit and just whittling away all the stuff that isn't crushing or funny or whatever. So that joke took like months to get to work. And if you hear me in the beginning, I'm trying to speed through a lot of the setup because it's kind of a lot to set up. Like I have to come out of nowhere going magic, religion, what's up with that? So I'm setting up this big concept, but I'm trying to do it really quickly to get to the punchlines. And then luckily the end tied it all up and it got a laugh. So that joke took forever to construct.
So that's great. So I think what we did was we overall had a lot of people kind of send in witty observations that they've come across.
That's fun.
And we could kind of dig out and gold mine to what is the actual observation and how to build that as the foundation for jokes. So there's a handful. We'll get through as many of these as possible, but I just took what people said in the comments and we'll just kind of run through them. And I'll let you know if we're going too long for time, so we can make sure there's enough time for each. So the first is, if evolution is true, why are people still camping?
I love it. Great premise out of the gate. My initial thoughts are that's how far we have evolved, that we get to go backwards and dip our toe in. Like it's weird how older stuff is considered fun. That's how far we've gotten. Like, ooh, candlelight dinner. Yeah, but candles were just what we did when we had no electricity. But it's fun to dip back in. Horse and buggy ride with your girl. Horse and buggy fucking sucks. We've invented the car, but that's how far we've come. Is you want to go back just to kind of, and maybe the joke is we don't do that with other stuff. No one's ever like, hey, let's kill a virgin. Haha, it'll be nostalgic. We'll throw her in a pit. That's a bad example, but you see what I'm saying? Like, it's weird how certain things from the past are romantic or kitschy or cute, like camping or hunting is fun. But then some things you're like, hey, slavery. How look at that, nostalgia. So maybe that could be the joke. That's something.
Awesome. Cool.
That makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. So this one is, I met someone that's gender neutral at a friend's gender reveal party. I couldn't ask them what they thought the gender was going to be, even though when they faced with a choice, I noticed they picked up a cupcake with pink icing over the one with blue icing.
That's fun. I like that. I like jokes like that where you kind of cut through the bullshit with just a fun observation. That's great. And I think the meat of the joke, the premise there is, sure, we can say whatever, but everything kind of comes back to some category. You can throw a bunch of balls up in Plinko, but it's all going to come back down to that one little slot at the end. I had a bunch of lady friends who were like, we like black guys, we like Asian guys, but every time I'd see them, they'd be fucking a white guy. And I'm like, look, you can say all this shit all day, like stop Asian hate and BLM and all that. You're turned on, but you're always fucking these honkies at the end of the day. So it's fun when the truth reveals itself. So I like that with the pink icing. That's a great little observation there. That's good. That's the gender stuff is tough because we're in this weird time where like gender is fluid and non-binary and not real. And then everybody's like, as a woman, we need more female comedians on the show. And you're like, well, which one is it? Is it all fluid and then loosey-goosey, or you're a man, you're toxic? We're simultaneously making gender wishy-washy and concrete. Isn't that weird? Now I'm going off on a rant, but yeah. Does that make sense? All right. How about you hate the guy who asked, does that make sense after everything?
All right, here's another one. When I was 13, if I was witty enough, I could get a girl to call my landline after school. Now, if you're 13, years old, being witty enough, you get like retweeted by a Kardashian, or it's like a retweet versus a phone call, or the difference between 13-year-old back in the day versus 13-year-olds now.
I think that's great. It's true. It kind of shows the difference. The big difference is back then I got this girl to call me, one specific girl. Now I'm getting one specific woman to retweet me to 10 million people or 100 million people or whatever it is. So the exposure is really broadened with the internet. You could have one gal or you could have 100 million whores, and that's kind of fun.
Cool.
The same goes with like the internet just changed everything. Like back in the day, you found your dad's Playboy. Oh my God, the Playboy! I have this thing. It's all sticky. I jizzed all over it. And now it's like one click, and I can see every stepdaughter porn on the planet.
All right, these are you're gonna have to find the jokes within some of these paragraphs and really break them down. But the intimacy between the customer and the cashier when you pay by card, you know, they have to aim the machine towards you, and you have to put it in. Sometimes you put it in wrong, and they help you put it in. Eventually, you pull out. The machine climaxes out the receipt, but only if it's like good and accepted. So, how would you turn that idea into, you know, into something that's workable and bring it to a stage to turn into a bit?
Well, it's already a great start. You know, you got the parallels with putting it in, orgasming, taken out. The receipt is the jizz. There's a lot more jokes here too. You could say, you know, if the girl's like, "Hey, do you want your receipt?" You're like, "No," meaning like, "I don't want you to take the jizz. I don't want the jizz." You know, that's funny. And then if the card's not accepted, maybe that means she didn't get off. Maybe that's the joke with the not accepted. Like, sure, you put it in, but she didn't feel a thing. So, man, there's a lot here, and this bit almost feels done. I feel like you get one big pop on the ending, and you got a nice solid chunk there. Maybe not a chunk, but that's a funny joke.
Is there a way to play with this chunk to bring in like the names of the cards to different companies, like Amex and Discover? And
yeah, that's also good. And maybe your card, you know, sometimes your card doesn't work and you have to like put it in 8 different times, and it's almost like not getting it up. You know, you're like, it's an old card, you know, but a new card is rock hard and crisp. So there's that. There's let's see. Maybe there's something with swiping versus putting it in. Like swiping is almost like second base, and putting it in is like you scored.
And then one more question for this, and this isn't something I wrote, but out of curiosity, is there a way to kind of, if you take this concept, how do you then put it into making it anecdotal to make it feel like like you're putting it into a moment or something like that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Louis told me if you can make any joke you have, if it's a joke about Uber or milkshakes, if you can make it personal to you, it'll hit 20% harder. Because if you just do jokes about German Shepherds and people go, "Do you have a German Shepherd?" You're like, "No." They're kind of like, "All right, well, are you invested in this? I don't know. Do you care? Why should we care if you don't care?" So if you just lie and say, "I have a German Shepherd," I think that's fine. And I think it makes the joke seem more real and relevant and authentic. Even though jokes don't have to be authentic, I'm one of those guys where I'd rather something made up that's funny than something true that's not funny. I think if you just make it your own, you go, "I was at the store today and this happened, and boy, is it me or is it a little intimate with the cashier these days?" You know, pull the card out and yada yada. So maybe there's something too of some places only take cash, and maybe that's like a lesbian. You know, you're like, "Hey, I whip out my card." She's like, No, we don't take those." That could be something.
Cool.
Make it personal.
All right, so this one I actually wrote, but so I feel that when I choose what I want to eat for dinner, I'm being kind of racist. Like, what am I in the mood for? Chinese, Italian, you know? So I was thinking how you would turn that into a bit, in a sense.
I've had a similar thought, and I think you got something here, because food is the last place you can be specific about ethnicities all the way. You know, if you go, I don't like that guy. He's Chinese. People are like, whoa, what are you, racist? Like, no, I just don't like that guy. But if you go, I don't like Chinese food, or I don't like that restaurant, it's Chinese, people go, oh, yeah, I get it. And it's the only time you can pick, like, you want to get Indian? Nah, Indian's gross. Let's get Mexican, and you can just openly say all the ethnicities, which you could never do with people. So it's kind of fun. And then there's maybe some twist with black. We just changed the soul food. It's actually black food. It comes from slavery and all that. That's Mexican food. That's Italian food. That's Indian food. But you can't say that's black food. I don't know why. That just sounds worse. Same with Jews. You got to say kosher. You can't go, hey, well, let's go eat some Jew grub over there, huh?
Yeah.
It sounds better to say kosher or whatever. So, yeah, there's a lot there with the, like, imagine do that with Uber. I don't want this Uber. The guy's Pakistani. But you can say, I want Pakistani food.
Great. So for the next observation, it's I think it's Amber Alerts always come on your phone loud and scare the shit out of you, similar to an alarm. Maybe there's a premise when you're asleep, your phone startles you up and you're just thinking, oh, okay, it's only an Amber Alert.
That's great. I've actually heard a ton of Amber Alert jokes about, who is this Amber gal? Isn't that weird? This is her claim to fame. She must hate that. Or her family must get an Amber Alert. Like, thanks for the reminder about my daughter that got abducted. But this is a new angle. Again, great point about the, maybe a hacky idea that's been done a lot. This is a different spin on it, so it's not hacky. I think that's really funny. You've made Amber Alerts. This is a woman who's kidnapped and abducted and maybe dead, and we're like, that's what you did with them. It's kind of like the word racist now. You used to hear racist and go, geez, that guy's racist? Holy shit. What do he do? Say the N-word? Is he a Nazi? And now it's like, oh, Charlie Sheen's racist. You're like, all right, what the hell, Al? Now I got to read the whole story. What? Oh, he said black and not African-American, and he's now in trouble. So you're like, it's kind of a good point about taking the teeth out of certain things that should still be important.
Yeah, and just I was with Sam and Gary Veter a couple weeks ago, and Gary has a joke about this where he says we need different songs for different alerts. So like, if there's a tornado, it should be "Wind Beneath My Wings," or
that's great.
Adopted Child, something by R. Kelly. So it was is
that Veter?
Yeah, that's Veter.
That's great. All right, Veter, writing a new joke for the first time in 7 years.
Okay, great. The next is a lot of ancient Greek statues have dudes with tiny peens. I Googled the reason for it. And apparently the ancient Greeks thought that arousal was a sign of weakness.
Ooh, I love it. I love when a fun fact, that's a very interesting fact, is a great premise for a bit. Another good way to get a witty observation or an interesting observation is just fun facts sometimes will work as a bit. So already you're off on a great start, and you got a dick in there, which is funny. And arousal being a sign of weakness, that's great. I mean, now, hey, next time you're with a chick and you can't get it up, you're like, hey, I'm not gay. I'm strong. I mean, that's a bit. You tweak it a little bit, but man, I'm jealous of that one. That's ready to go.
Right. And
it's a fun fact. Like you hear that and you go, oh, how about that? I didn't know that.
So if you take a fun fact, because you read a lot of tweets about fun facts, what's that process look like behind when you find a fun fact that you want to mess with?
Those are a lot of fun because it's almost like I follow this thing called Wow Facts or What the Fuck Facts, and they just have interesting facts. And I've gotten bits out of like 8 of them. I mean, they're not always great, but one was 2.5 million people die every year from alcohol. So I saw that and I was like, wow, that's crazy. And then I thought, but think about how many people it produces. A lot of our parents got hammered and had us on accident. And we wouldn't be here without alcohol. So sure, it kills some people, but it also helps make people. And once I got the ball rolling on that premise was hitting. And then I needed a turn at the end. And I said, alcohol creates a lot of kids. I'm going to start naming my kids after the substance that got them conceived. This is my daughter, Tequila. This is my son, Jaeger. What about that kid hugging your leg? That's Molly. So that was the hard part, was finding that naming the kids thing. That's kind of the hard part about joke writing, is finding that weird, like where do you go now part. And I just had to play with it 100 times until I thought of the kids thing.
All right, that's awesome. All right, people using the I'm bipolar, ADHD, dyslexic card when they're really just self-diagnosing their own lack of willpower or drive.
This is so, I've been talking with everybody about this. This is a new epidemic. Like everybody's using this mental health bullshit as excuses for them being shitty. You know, like, oh, I'm not late for work. I'm having mental downtime. I need some space for myself and I need to regroup and all. And you're like, shut up, you're late. You overslept, you coos. You can't blame this on some kind of a fucking mental health blurb you read about in vulture.com or whatever. Like, oh, I'm halfway on the spectrum, so I can't drive a car, and I'm binary and queer, so I can't read. Like, shut up. Stop making excuses. But this is a huge thing that people are doing. So it's actually sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
It's kind of fucked up to people who are actually bipolar. You know, you can't go, oh, I shit myself, I'm bipolar. You know, and then you get some bipolar guy like, well, now I'm going to kill your aunt because I'm actually bipolar. So you kind of wasted yours, and I actually have real shit going on. So it's kind of fucked up to do, but everybody's doing it. And the problem is you're not allowed to rebuttal on someone's mental illness. You know, if they go, hey, I have ADD, and you go, shut up, you're just inconsiderate. They go, how dare you? I'm going through things. And you're like, oh shit, sorry. So you don't want to be the victim blamer, but like, let's be honest, people are using this shit and running with it.
So real quick, so just to stay on this one a little bit longer, if you were to try to find that quick condensed line that kind of explains this, how would you take this concept and make this into that premise or whatnot?
Great question. That thesis line is always so important. Just that one line in the bit, in the setup, in the premise that says the whole premise in one line. And then you can play around after that, but you need that one line. Like Jim Jeffries was like, here's this great joke about I get drunk a lot. You know, you gotta have fun stuff to talk about. No one has ever said, oh, this amazing thing happened after I had a salad or whatever. I'm butchering it, but that was the thesis line. Like, that's a funny line, and it just sums it all up. Like, getting drunk is fun. Crazy shit happens after you get drunk. You never hear about a good story start with, and then I had a salad. And that's a perfect way to sink it all into one singular line. So this one I would say, is it me or are people using mental health just to be, is it me or are people using mental health as an excuse for just being shitty or something like that, where you keep it simple, you keep it clear, and you just get that out of the way, and now they know exactly what you're talking about, and then you move on to the rest of the bit. Chris Rock kind of overdoes it, I think. He's like, women can't go down in lifestyle. Am I right, fellas? Women can't go down in lifestyle. Like, you know what I'm saying, ladies? Ladies, you can't go. And you're like, all right, we don't need 3 of them, but I get what you're doing. You're really solidifying the premise because people are idiots. So I get it, but sometimes you can overdo it.
And just real quick, could you define the difference between a thesis line and a premise?
Yeah. The premise is the idea. The premise is, hey, people are using mental health a lot now just to have an excuse for not being a good person. And then the thesis line is kind of a polished, concentrated, compact, literally a line that says all that in a nice way.
Cool.
Could also be a funny way.
Great. All right, next is astrology. When people justify their actions by saying shit like Uranus is retroactively aborted or whatever the fuck they say, it seems like they're trying to justify their neuroticism by blaming constellations that are literally billions of kilometers. Seems like the two go nice hand in hand.
Yeah.
With, bipolar and astrology. So.
Yeah. You never hear about smart people using astrology. You never hear about Elon Musk going like, well, I knew Tesla was going to work because Orion's belt was up my ass or whatever the hell. It's just, he just does shit. He just goes and makes shit. And if it fails, he fixes it. The astrology thing is bad news. That's kind of the early version of the mental health thing. Like, at least mental health is real. Like, people are actually crazy. This is just a bunch of kooks got together and stared at the sun and the stars while eating peyote, and now we got this bullshit. I always say astrology and like palm reading is like a prostitute for a guy. You know, a guy will get a prostitute like, oh, should we do it? It's our bachelor party. Oh, fuck it. Let's go crazy. And women will be like, ooh, should we go get our palm read? We know it's stupid, but let's do it. It's silly. But I think women deep down want to believe all that shit, and their vaginas are dictated by the moon. And they got more stuff going on than we do. So it's a very lady thing, this astrology thing. I think guys who like astrology just like space. You know, they're staring up at Uranus and Jupiter and talking about NASA. And ladies are like, hey, what's up with, the Big Dipper?
Yeah, they try to find meaning within the stars.
Yeah, yeah.
And out of curiosity, could you take this bit before, kind of those two, along with like reverting back? So the original, where it was like, going horse riding versus using a car to tie those together?
I think you could. I also think you could tie this one with the mental health thing and be like, mental health thing, and now people use an excuse. Before we had mental health, it was astrology, and then you talk about that. But they're very similar, but both good premises.
Cool. So dinosaurs are everywhere for children, books, toys, pajamas, TV shows, but it would be strange for an adult all of a sudden to take on an interest in dinosaurs.
I don't know. I mean, it's weird because kids like dinosaurs, and adults, you have to be a paleontologist if you want to be respected for knowing anything about dinosaurs. So you either got to go all in as an adult or nothing. It's almost like being a pedophile. Like, you can't just want to touch kids. If you do, you got to be a pediatrician. You know, you can't be in the middle as an adult. As a kid, you can be like, oh, I got dinosaur pajamas and sheets and action figures. But as an adult, you got to actually get a degree, or else you're a weirdo. You know, look, you can grab a girl's tit at the bar and get thrown out. But if you're a mammogram doctor or whatever the fuck, you're good. So adults need credentials. I think that's the joke there.
All right,
like,
next one.
When people say, I'm a wine connoisseur, and you're like, I think you're just a drunk, but they're like, no, I have a certificate. And you're like, oh, okay, but he's still an alcoholic. He just has that fucking certificate. So you see what I'm saying? You need credentials. Sorry.
All right, so no, don't be sorry at all. So the next one is, people are always proud of being bad at math. Whenever the topic of math comes up, people are always happy to say, I'm terrible at math, or I hated math. Is there another essential life skill that people are this proud of sucking at?
That's a good point. I'm horrible at math, and I hate that I'm horrible at math. I failed out of math like every class, and I had to take a film major just to get rid of math. And I wish I was good at math. Also, people tell me I'm autistic. I'm like, well, where's the math skills over here? But yeah, you're right. It's weird that you can say that you're terrible at math and people just have to go with it, you know? It's kind of like, it reminds me of, and maybe this is a parallel, when I was a kid, you always said, oh yeah, I would have beat that guy's ass if he stepped to me, and if anybody touches my car, I'm gonna fuck him up and all that. And you know, you're like, hey, I heard you got punched out at the bar. Like, yeah, the guy sucker punched me. Like, you just kind of lied a lot and like pretended to be tough. And now people just come out and go, oh, I'm scared of fighting. I ran away, which is fine. I'm not a tough guy either, but like, it's funny how that's become accepted. And you would never be like, you wouldn't do that with other shit. You wouldn't go, sure, I had a kid, but I threw it in a dumpster. I can't handle responsibility. I'm very immature. And you're like, Jesus Christ, I threw a kid in a dumpster, you know? Yeah, I beat my wife. I don't know how to have a relationship, so I beat her. Feel like, Jesus Christ. But for some reason, these are allowed. I'm terrible at math. It's like, well, get a calculator, figure something out. You can't really do that with other stuff. That's true. Oh, you got AIDS. Yeah, I'm bad at wearing a condom. It's not a skill I'm good at. So I think if you just find that funny parallel, I think you're golden.
All right, so The other day, I got a mammogram, and when you get a mammogram, they grab you by the boobs and clamp them into a machine. When the technician went to clamp me in, she said, "There's not enough." If a woman said that to a man, they'd end up in a true crime series. Diagnosis, not cancer, but it's terminal. So I thought this was kind of similar to the joke that you have with the A, B, C, D with the cup sizes. So I thought you
Oh,
could kind
yeah.
of talk about those two
Oh,
correlations.
this is great. Yeah, there's not enough. Damn, that's crazy that a lady said that to another lady. Because ladies know how sensitive that would be. But my first thought was if a man said that to a woman, he might get fired if the male doctor said that. But might be funnier. The lady, if a lady said that to a man, there's not enough dick here to give you a proper diagnosis. Yeah, the guy would either kill her or kill himself. So thank God men don't get dick cancer. I mean, we get ball cancer, right? But I've never heard of cock cancer. Can you get shaft cancer? Is that a thing? I don't know. Maybe I don't think my shaft has enough mass to actually get a cancer cell in it. So this is a great premise, and the cool thing is it's super relatable because everybody's insecure about something on their body, and we've all had that thing insulted, and it fucking crushes you. And this one's funny because it's a medical professional saying, "Hey, you got small tits, bitch." You know, like I can't even do my job because your tits are so small and gross. So there's so much here. This is really funny. And I'm not saying your tits are gross. I think you have nice tits, I'm sure. But it's funny that a doctor said like, "Hey, you're you itty bitty titty committee over here. I can't do my job."
Great. Another one that we'll kind of hit on is one of my biggest fears isn't death, but narrowly escaping death. I know someone who narrowly escaped death, and now they're making the most of every moment. Every day is now a blessing, and every moment must count.
Wait a minute. Oh, I see. This
So-
is it. It's kind of a Norm style joke here. You know, like one of my biggest fears isn't death, but narrowly escaping death. I know someone who narrowly escaped death, and now they're making the most of their life. Every day is a blessing. This is great. This is philosophical. Like George Carlin used to have this bit about whenever a plane almost hits a building, they say it was a near miss, and he's like, "Near miss? We did miss. That's a near hit." You know, if you hit a mountain, that's a near miss. You almost missed, but you hit it. And this is similar. Like, I'm not scared of dying. I'm scared of almost dying because then you're like aware of it and then there's no escape. Like, you almost die and you're like, holy shit, you realize how terrifying it was. But if you actually die, you're not worried about it because you're fucking dead in the dirt. So, yeah, this is funny. It's going to be hard to get a ha-ha out of this, but it's definitely a funny idea. I think this needs a comparison. Like, if you shit your pants, wait, hold on. Like if you get caught in the rain and you're just soaked, you're like, fuck it, I'm soaked. But if you get caught in a drizzle, you're like, this sucks, because you're like half wet, half dry. But it's almost like going all the way is actually easier. It's kind of like one time this guy slammed my head against a window and the window didn't break and it hurt like hell. But if the window had broken, it would have released the tension, I think. So that's kind of what this reminds me of. Does that make sense? Okay.
Makes sense to me.
All right. I don't know. It's not really ha-ha, but that's a really interesting idea and a really interesting thought you have there. My friend has this funny joke about he has his watch he loves and he lost the watch and then he found the watch. And he said it was almost worth losing the watch for how happy he was when he found it. When he found the watch, he was actually happier than just having a watch. And that's what this reminds me of. All the way dying is great because you're done. You don't have to feel anything anymore. Almost dying, you got to deal with that for the rest of your life.
Great. We have a couple people that didn't have a chance to put into the deck.
I'm
So
in.
Kevin Willard, you want to hop in? Oh, you're muted.
You're muted, Kev.
All right, let me pull it up real quick. Sorry.
And anybody chime in. I feel like I'm hogging it. I don't want to be, I don't want to bore everybody.
All right, here's mine. Pretty loose idea that I don't even know if this could turn into a premise, let alone a bit. But I told my friend that this Asian guy I saw in a movie looks like another Asian guy, and she was like, "Oh, so you think they all look alike?" And I was like, "No, I said that one guy looks like that other one guy, which is actually the opposite of saying they all look alike." And I can't think of any like real good punchline, but I was like, I feel like that's a good point. So maybe there's something there.
Yeah, no, I like that. That's why I said this specific guy looks like this. It's such a hack line to go, oh, we all look alike. Like, no, I chose one human.
It's
Maybe
the
it's-
opposite. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe there's something funny. There's what is it, like 8 zillion Asian people on Earth? Like, I think I narrowed it down pretty good to 2. There's like
Yeah.
9 trillion Asians out there, and they all look alike. And I narrowed it down to 2. I'm the exact opposite of all
Yeah.
the racist guys.
Yeah, I tried to write it out a little bit, and I was like, yeah, there's like 2 billion people. If I thought they all looked like, I would have said that guy looks like 2 billion other people, not
Yes.
one fucking guy.
Right. Sean Patton has a similar joke, and he has a line in it that I'm like, oh, I would have never thought of that. That's such a great line. He goes, it's not racist. I didn't say he looked like a pair of chopsticks. I'm saying he looks like that other Asian. So
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I've
something
heard
like that.
angles like this, but you're on to something. It's a great premise, but I worry somebody else might have it. But that's really
Yeah,
funny.
you're right.
It's a great point. You're completely right.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
So for the next 5 minutes, we'll open up for any questions on that before we go to just the last part that will lead to kind of more work or quote unquote homework for the next class. So anyone that had any questions about witty observations, please, unmute yourself and go ahead.
Can we not call it homework? That's got such a bad.
Yeah, I know. I hate it.
Let's
I
call
tried
it
not to.
home fun.
Observations, like witty
Home fun.
observations or and anyone?
What do you got,
Mark.
Lambert?
Oh,
Mike.
sorry. When you have a witty observation, where do you write it down? Do you have a notebook? Do you use the note apps on your phone? What do you use?
I do a notebook because it's right there. I hate opening my phone. That's why I have a watch, because I can just look at my watch instead of opening my phone. I feel like every time I open my phone, now I'm off on Grindr and I'm Taliban. So I go notes, and then I take the notes and I put it on my phone later, just so I have it, because the notes will actually fizzle away after a while. They get so ratty and maybe you lose one. So I'll put it on my notes first in my pocket, and then when I have the phone out later, I'll just go, oh yeah, stepped on a Lego, and type that in or whatever, just to keep it on record in case I lose my joke book. So I go writing first, then put it into the phone just to have it forever.
When you transfer, do you do any editing while transferring?
Yeah, when I put it in the phone, I make it complete bullet point, sometimes just one word or the word and then a slash and then the punchline. So just so I have it in case I lose that notebook. But I keep it pretty tight in that phone.
Okay, great. Any other questions? All right, cool. Anyone?
Oh, sorry. Well, it wasn't really a question, but
There he is.
I have this idea in my head. I don't know if it's a premise. I just want to throw it. Yeah, okay, I'll throw it at you. So, rape and pillage. Just the idea of in my head, like you're on a ship or something, and someone's sleeping, they're exhausted and waking up. We're making landfall in 15 minutes, and the person being really tired, but wondering, hey, are we exploring new land? No, we're actually raping and pillaging a village. Just the idea of this person being exhausted with this, just so
Right.
tired. And it's not really, that's really just the idea of going back in time and watching someone who's doing this brutal act, but just being tired with it. Like we might be tired of doing something now. I don't know if there's anything.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The person just being just utterly exhausted. Like, you got to be kidding me. Like, we got to rape and pillage. We've been doing this, just being really tired and just maybe, some community on the boat. Like, I don't know if there's
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, no, that feels like a sketch, like a funny SNL sketch. Like
Yeah,
the Vikings pull up to some new land. They're like, we got to go rape and pillage. And they're like, ah, dude, we're hungover. We got a new Netflix show coming out. Like,
yeah,
raping and pillaging is a lot of work. I mean, that is a calorie burner. You got to hold the women down. You got to light the village on fire. You got to steal all the cattle and all that shit. So, yeah, I like the idea of rape and pillage being like, fuck, can I clock out? Can I do a sick day? I'm good. I'm wiped.
Great. And then the last one last question is from Jay Stewart.
All right, Jay.
Hey, what's up, Mark? I wanted to pitch you another bit here. I'm just kind of like, I need to brainstorm it needs a tag to like kind of get everyone at ease because it's a particularly dark bit, right?
Sure.
And it's very polarizing to the room. Usually it'll be like half of the or maybe a quarter of the room loves it. They think it's funny, and then the rest are just like worried for me. Right. So I'll tell you the bit, but just just so we know and it doesn't break the flow of the comedy class or whatever. Like, this has been processed, I've been therapized, all that jazz. But so I have this whole like depression bit, and then I go into like why I'm depressed, and I say, well, it's because I was groomed when I was a young kid for a very long time, and I was the youngest sibling, and people often assume that I was spoiled as a younger sibling growing up, and it's like, well, that's true, but not by my parents. And I get laughs on that, but it's like it's a little, I really lose the set like afterwards, and I was hoping to see if there's like a tag or something. I've also played around with like maybe not actually using the word groomed. I thought it was funny to say like child porn star or something like that. Like, yeah.
Wait a minute. Let me see if I have the joke. The joke is you were groomed growing up, meaning like some guy pedophiled you, but then the turn is that it's your parents?
No,
Sorry.
the thing. No. It's good. It's that like I'm the youngest sibling in my family because I have 3 other siblings. Everybody always assumes that I was spoiled, and I say, well, that might be true, but it wasn't by my parents. That I was like, because this guy's grooming me, and because he's like spoiling me, but it wasn't my parents that was spoiling me. It was this guy that was grooming me that was spoiling me.
Got it. I feel like it's a little unclear. Maybe that's part of the the hiccup there, but that's funny that the turn is I was spoiled, but it was by some pedo who was trying to bang me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's funny. Like, I used to have a bit about I knew a girl who would go to the bar and flirt with guys just for free drinks. She wasn't gonna fuck them, but she wanted those drinks. I wonder if there was any smart kids who would ever flirt with pedophiles just for the candy. They're not gonna fuck them. They just want that free Twix or whatever. But this is different. This is a good misdirect. Like, is there a kid out there who is spoiled because he was so hot? Like we all know that beautiful woman who got a free Ferrari or whatever because she's gorgeous and all this, and some idiot guy is like, hey, I'm a millionaire oil tycoon. Here's a Bentley and a pearl necklace. And I wonder if you were that kid.
If I was, but like, do you think groomed is like too much of a buzzword, right? Like I've heard female comics, they don't like to say abortion on stage because it's like too polarizing of a word for some reason. A female comic, it like gets the audience against them. Is groomed like too much of a, but like, should I try to, is there a way I can phrase that so that I don't actually have to use that word maybe? Or
I think groomed is a little, it's funny, but it's a little Epstein-y and all that. So I think if you just say I was spoiled as a kid, I was showered with gifts, showered with candy and toys, and then people somehow you turn it where you go, it wasn't my parents, it was the creepo Cub Scout master down the block, And it's one of the perks of being a hot kid is these pedos, they dish out, they'll do whatever they have to do to get in your tiny pants. So it was good living as a kid. Now I'm an adult and nobody's trying to fuck me. So you almost got spoiled, and you almost want to reverse the time. Like, I wish I was getting fucked now, not back then.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think like because if I sense the room and oh shoot, I kind of lost them. Oh, they're worried about me. Do you have any ideas where I could put a tag, like how I could phrase a tag to kind of say, no, it's fine, right? Like, you got to have something to get a little chuckle out, even if they weren't on board for that punch.
Yeah, you want to break the tension. I think A, the fact that you're the kid makes it better, and B, if you have something in the tag where you're like, I didn't do it, I was just stringing this guy along, like almost say the things women say. I was just leading them on. I was just stringing them along. I was dangling the carrot, and then it might cut the tension a little bit because you actually didn't end up getting diddled.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Cool.
And sorry, I can't see your name, but you raised your hand, so go ahead and yeah.
Yeah, I've got this joke that keeps bombing, but I really believe in it, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if I should cut it or if there's something I can do to improve it.
Let's fix it, team.
It's like last year I met this girl online, and last week for our anniversary we finally met in person because I'm a gentleman. I only break up face to face. You think there's anything in that?
Yeah, that's funny. I like the idea of talking online for 2 years, never meeting. You guys are having cyber sex and sending dick pics.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, I got to go meet this lady. And everybody's like, oh, you're finally meeting. What, do you get married? You're like, no, I'm a gentleman. I break up in person. That joke is all about how you set it up and execute it. That's a funny joke. It's just going to be hard to perfectly tap dance into that punchline, but there's a way to do it. I think if you misdirect it enough, keep making it seem like, oh, now I'm going to go visit her. I can't wait. We're going to see each other face to face because I'm a gentleman and that's how I dump people.
Okay.
But I think that's good.
One last hand raise and the last part of class. So Ronan.
Hey Eric, thank you. I was just gonna run this bit. I want to be quick about it. Basically, I'm a black English guy. I dress like a hipster. I date a lot of woke women. A lot of them are white because it's England. And I've got a joke, which is, it basically goes, I hate white guilt. The only time I like white guilt is like when I need a blowjob. Bombed. So yeah, essentially that's the joke. Yeah,
that's funny. Maybe the joke is like, I think women might hate that joke, but it's not wrong. I mean, you're 100% right. Maybe the joke is, this is your reparations. 40 acres and a mule, fuck that. I want 40 licks and a swallow or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say after that bit, I was gonna go like with my ex-girlfriend. After a long day of work, I'd put the moves on her, and she'd be like, "Oh no, not tonight." But then I'll be like, "What about slavery? I thought Black Lives Mattered. What about black penises?"
Yeah, black dicks matter. Yeah, that's funny. I like the last ditch effort to pull some more guilt out of her. Like, hey, what about slavery? What about Rodney King? What about OJ? He's just shouting all these times black people got fucked.
Yeah.
Oh, that could be a good line. Like, hey, you already fucked my people. Now fuck me. I mean, that's a little silly, but you get it.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I just thought I'd throw it out there to see the response.
I like it. What do you think, Natalie? Is that are you offended as a lady? We got one lady in here. We should get her input.
Yeah.
No, it made me laugh out loud, so I thought it was good.
All right, we got a cool lady here.
Great. So this is the last part. This will set us up for the next class. Mark is a king at kind of walking into a room and figuring out how to riff in the moment. So here's just a little clip from, I'm sure you guys have seen it on the Patreon, but it's just a couple of jokes. And then just quickly, Mark, kind of talk about how do you, riff in the moment. So here is this little quick clip.
Folks, thanks for coming out. Here we are in I don't know, Red Lobster, but hey, it's good to be here. I'll take it. This is very exciting. Good times, seafood, huh? Smells like my ex, but yeah, she was a real C.
So just a play off of how you seafood, the word see, talking about your ex, the smell, all that. Like, how do you in that moment even take those concepts that run through your head and quickly get it out in a way that is funny and punchy?
Well, a couple things. I like to get into a comedy venue and start looking around for anything weird. Like, the joke doesn't have to be that amazing if it's in the room, on the spot, in the moment. Because everybody's like, oh, we're all in this together. I see that thing too. It's not just like you talking about Uber or cereal or cats and dogs. It's like we're all in on that weird curtain over there, or that weird chandelier. So you're going to get like 30, 40% more laughs, even if the joke's not amazing, just because it's in the moment. So that's good to know. Two, I think I used to do this all the time, and it's a bad thing, but it's just something you do. I think as a new comic, where you're so in your head, like, I need a new line. Oh my God, I'm freaking out. I can't think of anything. And then that makes you not think of anything more and more, and just keeps compiling. So if you just keep your head clear and say the first thing that comes to your mind, you're better off. And that will lead to something else, maybe. Because we all go, that wasn't the most perfect line ever. I suck. I'm blowing it. And you start frazzling right there. But just start saying shit. Like, Red Lobster is not the funniest joke of all time, but we're in a seafood place. It was a weird venue, so I just threw it out there. And then now I'm off on seafood. Okay, smells like my ex. That's a shitty 80s hacky guy joke, but I'm riffing, so I'm just letting it loose. So then the seafood, she was a real C. That joke sucks, but I'm already on a tear. So I had some momentum. Rodney Dangerfield used to say jokes are like a necklace, and you want to keep putting pearls on it, just back and back, back. And some pearls are bigger than others, but if you put them in a string, you'll get more, because it's almost like a boxer. I got you on the ropes, and then at the end, you hit him with that big haymaker. So I think just keep talking. If one of them doesn't work, don't let it phase you. Just keep going. And that just comes from repetition and doing it. So I think a good exercise is every time you go on stage, let's say you got a 10-minute set, 6-minute set, for the first 30 seconds, try to riff, try to say something about the room, try to make fun of a guy in the front row or whatever it is, just to get you comfortable in doing that. And that'll also help when you get heckled later and stuff like that, because you're actually able to think on your feet and not get flustered. So, yeah, those weren't the best lines ever, let's be honest. But if it's in the room, they give you a little leeway, and just keep putting one after another. Keep punching. And then who knows what'll come of it. So you're almost like laying track for yourself by just keep talking. So you're like, now you have more things to riff off of, because you can riff off the last thing you said. Whereas that didn't exist 2 seconds ago. But when you say it, now you can riff off that, then you can riff off that, and then, the rest is history. And then if you really fall off a cliff, you can just go into your material. So you have a backup plan. Always know that. You have a parachute.
That's great. All right, cool. That's today's class. Thank you guys for joining.
Woo, that flew by.
Yeah, it's going. So what we're gonna do is, again, please just comment. I'll upload the video for anyone that didn't. Sorry for the technical issues in the beginning and whatnot, but we got it going. But we'll plan on, Mark is on the road, so we'll figure out, but it looks like Sunday afternoons are starting to become like the time for these to happen, when Mark has Sunday shows and has time to kill. So we'll keep it going like this, but next class will be all about riffing, and we'll figure out some sort of format to let us all riff in the moment and try to make jokes and continue to become stronger comedians. So thank you guys.
You good, Thomas? You good, Jim? You good, Chris? Just want to make sure. Udoy. All right. Just want to make sure you guys are all feeling welcome, and, tell a friend. And I don't want anybody to feel left out. Natalie, Jay, Kev, you spoke up maybe too much, but
if we have a quick second, Chris has a quick joke.
Sure,
that was a short time,
Chris.
so let's just throw it in there.
Oh, thanks. I want to give like a tag for Jay. Like, you can say that he gave you a cigarette, or you serve breakfast with him afterwards.
Wait a minute.
About the pedo joke.
Oh, say it again. I forgot his joke, the pedophile thing.
she was saying that she groomed and he was spoiled from that guy, and I'm saying like she can say maybe a tag like that he gave him a cigarette afterwards, or they share breakfast.
Oh, I see. I see.
I think I get it. Yeah, yeah. I'll see if I can work that in. Yeah.
No, I mean,
Cool. Thank you.
I love it. People helping people.
Great. And as always, bring your bits to the next class. We'll always have time to have Mark break them down and get into it. So thank you guys again, and see you
Thank
guys
you.
soon. Comedy.
Yeah.
Comedy.
Thanks, Mark.
Comedy.
Thanks,
Mark.
Quit it
Thanks,
up.
Mark. Thanks, Eric.
See you guys
Anal.
next time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin Hart.
Hey, choose.
All right. Bye-bye.